champagne pre-sold. Found her lips on her best friend, ribbons came untied. Unwrapped betrayal, under that you tied. Mistletoe hanging, but the vibe ain't sweet. So I'm tangled up where I used to keep my seat.
Yeah, we on. Pop a cork, set the scene. Gold glass, big dreams. Little hood, still pristine. Laugh lines where lipstick sheen. Secrets fizz when we sit down. High heels, low-key crown. Spill tea, still hold it down. Toast up, level up now. Champagne secrets, sip, save it, spill it. Grown and sexy, talk that talk, but we when we feel it. Champagne and power, glow in the midnight hour. Little hood, whole lot of class, we gon' cry and laugh louder.
Slow pour, let it ride. Real talk, no disguise. Bad days, but we still thrive. Soft heart, hard-earned pride. I'm in a big bag, big piece too. Pray first, then make move. I'm blessed, self-love in every view. Hit play, it's a new you. I'm chosen.
Champagne secret, sip, save it, spill it. Grown and sexy, talk that talk, but we when we feel it. I'm healed. Champagne and power, glow in the midnight hour. Little hood, whole lot of class, we gon' cry and laugh louder. Picking down, new ride. Deep breath, slow sound, champagne. Secrets out now, I'm ready. Champagne, secrets out now, I'm ready.
Hey girl,
Hey girl,
what you doing?
nothing much.
Get dressed.
For why?
Because we're going to the city. I need a little sip, savor, and spill.
Let's toast.
What you got going on tonight?
Can't call it. Owning the night. What you getting into?
Empress down in the city tonight. I'm feeling like champagne.
Let's toast.
The content you are about to indulge in may contain high levels of truth, sarcasm, and emotional damage. Viewer discretion is advised, but honestly, you clicked, so here we are.
Side effects of watching may include sudden clarity about your life choices, uncontrollable laughter at inappropriate moments, mild to severe eye rolling at ignorant comments in the chat, increased confidence, boldness, and I said what I said energy, or getting read like a hardcover novel with highlighted notes. Your bad take being turned into tonight's entertainment. A free personality evaluation you didn't ask for, but clearly needed, and temporary embarrassment followed by permanent self-reflection, optional, but recommended. Do not consume if you are allergic to accountability, growth, hearing the truth without sugarcoating. If symptoms of being triggered persist, log off, hydrate, and try again tomorrow. By continuing to watch, you agree that your feelings may or may not be spared, and that's between you and your Wi-Fi.
Management will not be issuing apologies, refunds, or emotional support for bruised ego.
We do not argue here. We educate, escalate, and occasionally decorate the situation with a little razzle-dazzle, respectfully.
Stay classy, stay sassy, and remember, if it don't apply, let it fly.
Either way, the glass stay full and the tea stay hot. You either handle it or get handled. Can you handle it? Let's toast.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Enough is enough! I have had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane! These motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane! These motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane! about to open some fucking windows.
Confidants? What is your profession? What is your profession? See my friend, nothing but soldiers and empowerment over here. Champagne gang and visitors to the Champagne City, welcome. You've entered my domain, our domain. If this is your first time here, hi, I'm the Empress, the Fistress, the woman who keeps the fizz in your facts and the kick in your clarity, the curator of sparkles, storyteller of the unseen. I'm your pusher, baby. Pusher of all things excellence, empowerment. You know, the things to get you from where you are to where you want to be. Yes, your Fistress and guide through the glittering corners of mess and chaos. So raise those glasses high, sit back, and let the bubbles rise. Let me tell you what really goes on after the cork hits the floor. Welcome to the Champagne City, baby. Let's toast.
I said what the fuck I want to say, Black. How rude. I said what I want to say. No, I said what I want to say. 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 Order. The fuck? I know, relax.
You see it. Do we have our audio back? Can y'all hear me? Because they tried to play with us not too long ago. For real. I'm just talking and trying to gas y'all up and welcome y'all in. Y'all can't hear nothing and I can't hear nothing either. So you knew we had to run it back. Welcome on in. If this is your first time here, Champagne Gang, Fizz Fam, and visitors to the Champagne City, come on in, baby. Grab your wings, your rings, your things, whatever you need in between. Scoot on up because this gonna be a full one. Because what the hell? We gonna get into it. But you already know we gotta get into our positivity and affirmations first. If this is your first time here, hi, I'm the Empress, and you are joining me for grown discussions and bubbly banter. Baby, over here, we give classy with a twist, huh? A little clink with chaos with a side of charm. So if you're ready to sip, savor, and spill, please grab a glass of your favorite bubbly. I don't care if it's sparkling water. Please grab your charger because we don't want your phone dying on you. Please make sure you're nice and comfy. Fellas, your PJs. Ladies, your jammy jams. Kick your feet up. Say hi to a few people in the chat. And now let's raise that glass in the air. Are you ready? For today's positivity and affirmation, baby, we're talking about act like you know. Tonight, stop introducing yourself like life has you unsure. You've learned too much for that. You've survived too much for that. And you have entirely too much evidence sitting behind you to keep questioning whether you can handle what's standing in front of you. Act like you know. Know you'll figure it out. Know you'll recover if it doesn't work. No one closed door cannot cancel an entire destiny. That changes the way you walk into things. You stop trembling at possibilities. You stop treating every decision like one wrong move will ruin your life. You stop giving fear a microphone every time something gets unfamiliar. Act like you know. There's a certain elegance that comes from trusting yourself. You don't rush. You don't scramble. You don't need everybody in the room to agree with you before you take the next step. You straighten your crown. Check your glass. and proceed. Because confidence isn't knowing everything will go perfectly. Baby, confidence is knowing you'll still be you, even if it doesn't. Hold on to that one. And tonight, trust your hands with what you're building. Trust your feet with where you're going. Trust the person you became while surviving everything you thought you couldn't. Now say it with me. I trust myself to handle what comes next. I trust myself to make the moves and make the adjustment. I trust what I've learned, what I carry, and who I become. I do not need certainty about everything around me to be certain about me. And tonight, I'm done walking into my future asking, what if I can't? Baby, I walk into it acting like I know. And if you feel that deep down on the inside, baby, raise that glass in the air with me. Let's toast. And if you came into my beautiful city with your heart set on hell and your intentions set on negativity, please allow me to be the first to let you know that in the Champagne City, baby, we don't do no trolls. Troll busters on patrol.
Yeah. Whole squad on patrol. Where they at? Point them out, that troll. Troll busters on patrol. Hey, hey, hey. Troll busters on patrol, troll patrol. Clamp down, shut them out, tow that troll. Click clap, log them out, fold that troll. Whole chair, chanting now, roast that troll. Roast that troll. Troll busters on patrol, troll patrol. Yeah, big boots, stomp them out, roll that troll. Roll it. Cap lock, drag them out, scroll that troll. Crowd yell loud, we control these trolls. We control these trolls. You type to little mole that troll. Live in my crib, little bowl cut troll. Grease on your keys, little old stain troll. Bridge so hot, screen cold from the troll. You a bridge bottom, did water troll. Wi-Fi weak, one bar in your soul. Profile pic, just an egg on a pole. Whole existence on whole set troll. Same fake pages, same lame troll. Catfish filter, can't say that troll. Talk big game, but you fold like a scroll. We just laugh, hit mute on the troll. Troll buzzers on patrol, troll patrol. Wait. Clamp down, shut them out, tow that troll. Click, click, clack, log them out, fold that troll. Whole chat, chanting now, roast that troll. Roast that troll. Troll buzzers on patrol, troll patrol. Big boots, stomp them out, roll that troll. Cap lock, drag them out, scroll that troll. Crowd yell loud, we control these trolls. We control these trolls. You a damn rock, miles grown troll. Lil' dust, might all brand troll. Fry oil hair, little egg roll troll. Keyboard chrome, snapback troll. You a bad C, no roll troll. Big talk, zero gold troll. DM tough in the street, so cold. See this live, now your spine made a jello troll. You a trash bag, half torn troll. We a whole squad, patrol, that's scroll. On the fly swatter, you the mad ass troll. She the boot heel, flatten that troll. Go home, go home, troll. Whole room, yeah, log off troll. Log off, home, go home, troll. Whole room, yeah, grab troll. Troll busters is on patrol, troll patrol. Slam down, shut them out, tow that troll. Click clack, log them off, fold that troll. Whole chat, chanting now, roast that troll. Roast that troll. Troll busters on patrol, troll patrol. Yo, big boots, stomp them out, roll that troll. Cap lock, drag them out, scroll that troll. Crowd yell loud, we control these trolls. We control these trolls.
What's going on, Champagne Gang? Come on in, come on in. Thank you for joining me on today. Y'all listen, we got a full show. We have a full show. So, before I get into our main show of what we're discussing on today, there was something that I ran into on yesterday, and that's why I had to put it in this timeline is screwed. The reason why I had to put it there is because please explain to me why we did not know. Nobody in the world knew, because no news outlets or anything is discussing the fact that Gary, Indiana, and Indiana has been without power for 2 weeks. Complete blackout. Please explain to me how this is possible. How? 2 weeks? No food, no water, no power. Complete blackout. So we're going to get into it. I want to show some of these TikTok videos of people discussing exactly what they've been going through in Indiana for almost 2 weeks, having no power. I don't care what y'all say. I think I really think they're like practicing the purge, like to see what would happen. If they could trigger the purge. What y'all got to understand is we're in a day and age where the world is overpopulated, quote unquote, according to them. Now, technically, if you look at the terrain of the world, there's really enough space to be habited. Problem is, you'd have to cut down trees and forest and all of that, unless you have a group of individuals kind of like myself who looking into living off grid anyway. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. And I'm ready to go off grid. I'm sick of the city, all of it. We're going to get into it, but I want you to drop in the comments and let me know if you're in Indiana. We are sending you our prayers from the Champaign City to you. We are praying for you. We are so sorry that we have such a shoddy ass government system that cares more about having motorcycle rings and boxing matches on the lawn of the White House than the people, is all I'm saying. I'm sorry that this is the day and age that we live in the land of the free, the home of the brave, the land of dreams, the place where everybody wants to come. Have we thrown away the white picket fence yet? Have we? Because I don't even see too many anymore. So is that no longer a part of the dream? The white picket fence? Because right now it looks like the dream needs to be electricity. So we're going to get into it. And I want you to drop in the comments and let me know what you think. Hold on one second. No, that wasn't the one. Hold on. I forgot I started it over. Now I gotta reset everything. Here we go. So we're gonna get into the people from Indiana talking about what they had to go through not having power. Make sure you got audio. Give me 1 second.
Morning. So the skies are definitely getting darker here, but what we especially wanted to show you is a traffic jam like never before. People are lined up bumper to bumper to try to get gas from the speedway, and I'm told that it's looked like this since like 3 o'clock this morning. We spotted people here with red cans filling up for generators to run back to their houses that are without power. More than half of the homes in Crown Point started their days in the dark. We are reaching 24 hours without electricity for almost 270,000 Hoosiers. The first day of school for Crown Point students is canceled. District leaders say they pulled the plug because of power outages and tree damage to school property, plus the fact that so many families are dealing with a lack of electricity.
Press pause. I have a question for you all, and this really made me think of it for real. And the reason it made me think of it is because years ago, I was at church and my pastor told us a story in the middle of his sermon. The story that he told us had to do with the trees and with the wind. And he stated there was a scientist who wanted to figure out if he could recreate the wind in the same way of the natural wind so that it doesn't destroy trees. One of the things that he noticed was that in most cases, no matter how bad the storm was, now again, this was back in the day, so we talking years ago, right? No matter how bad the storm was, the trees would remain. So he decided he wanted to set up this fake environment with trees, and he wanted to try to recreate the wind velocity, the wind strength. Every time he tried to do this, the wind would break. He would change it up, see if he added something else, see if he added some kind of way to split the wind to go around the tree. No matter what he did, the tree still broke. The one thing that he had to conclude at the end of the experiment was that there was nothing that humans could do that could recreate the power and velocity of natural wind and its effect on trees. Why is that important? It's important because every time you turn around, whenever we have a storm, trees are being broken, split, pulled out the ground, all of this. Trees are supposed to withstand the storm. No, they're not, Empress. Okay, so then explain to me, why is it that when the eagle couldn't fly above the storm, they would find a branch on a tree and lock down on it and wait out the storm? Because the storm actually feeds the tree. Please explain to me why we're now in a day and age where the trees are toppling over like crazy. With the least burst of wind, gust of wind, here comes falling over trees. They being uprooted, they being split down the middle with no lightning. Maybe it's because the storms are artificial. Maybe the reason why we are suffering so much destruction from the storms is because the storms are artificial. So they're causing damage because you're trying to do something that only God has the power to do. I don't care how many clouds you can put in the sky and make it rain. It's not God's. It's artificial. And anything built on an artificial system is going to eventually fail. You've got to have a sure foundation, which is why now we're seeing, no matter where you go, cars tore up because of trees, houses tore up because of trees. And of course, the insurance companies are opting out because they don't pay for natural disasters. Well, what about when the disaster wasn't natural because your government caused it, allegedly? Then what do we do? What's all these people supposed to do? Storm after storm coming back to back to back. Where I was yesterday, there was 4 storm cell systems looking like they were going to form a tornado. 4. We don't even get tornadoes. So to have 4 at once trying to form in the sky? Who playing with the storm machine is all I want to know. And what's the end game? Because when you irreparably destroy our weather system because you want to keep introducing artificial weather into it, then see, this is the problem. Y'all didn't watch Matrix for real. Y'all just got excited by Neo fighting and Trinity fighting. Y'all really didn't watch it and understand the premise. Because if you really watched it and understood the premise, then you would know that all of this that we going through right now is somebody trying to control the system. It's a programmer trying to control the Matrix. And no, they're not mystical. This programmer they're very human. They're messing with your weather, and now the weather is messing with us. Does it make sense when I say it out loud? But let's continue.
Electricity. Trees are down all over town, many of them tugging on wires. An update posted to the NIPSCO website says the power company needs to make repairs that are extensive and that restoration efforts across Northwest Indiana will take multiple days. No power for that long could put Hoosiers in crisis mode, if not already, according to Indiana State Police Sergeant Glenn Fifield. He worries about a gas and diesel shortage.
Right now, Griffith police officers are going door to door doing welfare checks while a third of the town remains without power. That's roughly 5,500 customers, according to town leaders, who are now calling on NIPSCO to do more and fast.
I haven't had power in 7 days. I'm diabetic and I have my medicine in a refrigerator.
Frustration on both sides of the podium about NIPSCO.
It's frustrating.
Now, this should bring into play a whole new argument, right? Because I remember being in school finding out that a monopoly is illegal, right? So if you have these states, right, that only have one utility company in operation, wouldn't that make it a monopoly? I mean, if 2 + 2 is 4 and 5 + 5 is 10. At what point are they going to make it mandatory that states have more than one utility company? There are some states that have at least 5 or 6, and I do understand that is due to the size of the state. But look at this. Look at this. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. Y'all tell us not to do that, but y'all want us to put all of our energy in one? And when the energy goes out, then it's, oh, too bad. Our fault. Hey, but when you can't pay your utility bill, they don't care. They don't want to hear an argument. They don't want to hear you get paid in 2 weeks. They don't want to hear you waiting on your doggone tax income check. No, baby, when that bill is due, don't pay it. Please don't pay your bill. But they can fuck up the grid and shut down all your power because the grid got overloaded. And I don't want to hear this is not the energy company's problem because you're the only energy company. So if you're the only energy company, then your president, CEO, your board should be consistently thinking about what do we need to do in case of. Every company. Now let me turn on my business strategist hat for y'all, because some of y'all don't know. She wear a lot of hats. Yes, she do. Any company should always have an in case shit plan. Any company. I don't care if you are selling cupcakes to doing wedding decoration to personal care, daycare. I don't care what business it is. You ought to have a team in place that is always thinking of what happens if. There should always be a plan B. How are you an energy company for a state? The only one. In Wisconsin, we have We Energies. Only one. No other one. That to me would be a monopoly, which technically is against the law, right? Or did that law change? Because, so much changed while we were, locked in the house, all sleeping beauties.
Getting an honest discussion back from them.
Fills the small council chamber in Griffith, Indiana.
We haven't seen anybody assess anything from behind Wood and 39th all the way to Arbogast. There's about 8 trees down still.
Residents and town leaders voicing their concerns during a council meeting while thousands in Northwest Indiana remained without power 1 week after storms left a trail of damage. We saw contractors out, finally removing debris from Broad Street in town.
This tree's been here as long as the home, and We've never been out of power for longer than 24 hours, and this has been the worst I've ever.
Look at this. Wow. The sad part about all of this is we have a government that would allow insurance companies to opt out of covering natural disasters. So basically, I'm paying you in case I do something wrong. I'm paying you in case, what, I set my house on fire? Because what other reason would I need insurance? Except in a disaster, whether it's natural, whether it's negligence, whether it's nefarious. This is what I'm paying for insurance for. But you tell me, if there's an act of God, if a hurricane comes in with a 20-foot swell and sweeps my house away, so what? I still got to pay you that 30-year mortgage? Is that what we're saying? In the land of the free? Free what? Free what? What's free? I get the brave. It's a whole lot of brave people in America. Oh, we so brave. Oh, we so brave. We so brave. We big, bad, and brave. Yeah, we are. But free? Child, even the women ain't free. What do you mean free? Land of the free. What here is free? Water? Do you know it's illegal to collect rainwater? Did you know that? No, it's not. Yeah, it is. Try collecting too many barrels and see them come knock on your door about it. What's free? The air? But let's continue.
Everyone's like, oh, how dark is it? How dark is it in Gary, Indiana, right? This is how dark it is.
Almost 100,000 people in Gary, Indiana are stuck and suffering. They've been without power for a week due to severe storms in the area. Just a month ago, the people of Gary were expressing concern about data centers' effect on their electricity. The total number of data centers in Indiana is 147. That's 23 currently operating and 120 currently being built. The state has specifically become a target for development because of its tax exemption on the electricity used by.
Now press pause. I need y'all to drop in the comments and let me know if y'all want to have a Matrix marathon in the Discord. Because we can do a Matrix watch party, definitely. Because do y'all remember when Neo was sitting with Morpheus? When he was trying to get him to understand everything that was going on? And he had the red pill and the blue pill in front of him? You remember that? This don't feel a lot like that to you? I just don't know right now whether we are in the red pill or the blue pill. But do you hear them talking about the data centers? When they were sitting there having that conversation, Morpheus was explaining to Neo how Zion came to be, right? And how the war broke out and how everything happened, right? One of the main things that he said was the sky didn't go dark because of war. The sky didn't go dark and we lost fresh, clean water because of war. It happened because of AI. Now, let me tell you something. I'm an AI lover. I ain't even gonna lie to you. And the reason I love AI is because it helps me streamline my work and do it so much faster. Everything that you see in the Champaign City and any of the other channels is planned, created, and designed by me. If I would have had to take my time and create my boards the way ChatGPT do, baby, y'all would never get a show. Never. Do you know how long that is? The amount of information that goes into it, because I do like really deep dives for these shows. I try to go to the history of it. So I am one who can appreciate AI. My question is, when is too much too much? Because you do know that there's another level to AI. And that is the level where they start teaching AI to think and operate on its own. The machines. Get it? It's crazy to me how we can watch ourselves headed to a brick wall and nobody stops and says, maybe we shouldn't crash into the brick wall, especially when we see it right there.
Data centers, which saves each facility hundreds of millions of dollars. In October, Amazon opened a 1,200-acre, $11 billion data center in New Carlisle, Indiana. And in February, Meta broke ground on a $10 billion data center in Lebanon, Indiana. Research has shown that the existence of these large data centers puts strain on our power grid.
Oh, so it begins. Not only are we living in Matrix, but I am pretty for sure we're right in the middle of from. I'm starting to see all these trees down. All the eggs is bad, the food is bad, the people are bad. The government, well, we barely have one of those. Ain't our president allegedly frolicking all over the world with some youngster that ain't his wife? Now, I know they say she worked for him, allegedly, but, you know, where's Ivanka? Where's the wife? Why would you be on a private, undisclosed location on a plane with a woman that's not your wife? Mr. Drumpf? The people would love to know. Because, you know, the Republicans are such moral, upstanding Christians. They love the Lord so much. I just know there has to be a good explanation as to why the president is frolicking all over the world with somebody look like she old enough to be his daughter. It's all I'm saying. It's all I'm saying.
Gary, Indiana is serviced by local utility Northern Indiana Public Service Company, or NIPSCO. So NIPSCO is the company handling this blackout. NIPSCO also loves data centers. The utility company has proposed independent deals with data centers owned by Amazon and Alphabet, and its parent company created a utility completely dedicated to servicing data centers. Between 2023 and 2025, NIPSCO raised Gary residents' electric bills by $83. NIPSCO also accidentally doubled 3,500 customers' electric bills, and then...
But here's the problem with this, right? They only doing what they're allowed to do. A government would have had to allow them to do this to the people. I've never looked into it, but who controls the utilities? Like, who's able to say, yeah, no, we're not gonna let you do that? Maybe that's something else we got to look into as well. Because how do you decide to build 2 gigantic data centers in one state and you decide to raise the people's utility bill to cover it? Land of the free? So we got to pay. Not even got to. We're paying for you putting us in a blackout. Because the reason they're in a blackout is because they have these 2 gigantic data centers that are taking up so many resources, so much power, that it shut down the grid, dismantled it, because NIPSCO was not ready to handle that kind of power surging through it. So you're going to maintain 2 data centers and Indiana? And the government at no point stepped up and said, yeah, no, that don't sound right. Press pause. Said, we need to come to the table and have a discussion about this. No. I can't let you do this. We already struggling enough. You gonna add more to the struggle? I don't know how you can struggle more than struggle is already struggling. Yet here you are. trying to do it. And the government said nothing.
Hope y'all been keeping up what's going on in Gary, Indiana, but these people been without power for about 7 days. 7 days, and a lot of people are reporting that the news, nobody not really speaking about what's going on, the crime, everything. Okay, so I seen this guy who posted a video, and he goes on to say, he said they've been without power for 7 days. He said finally on the 7th day they've been thugging it out. He went to get a hotel where they had electricity, they had power. Gets to the hotel, a few minutes later, the power goes out at the hotel. Y'all, what is going on? What is going on in Gary, Indiana? Please, somebody share, repost, send help.
I can tell you what's going on. They preparing for the purge. They feel like if they don't do anything, that they'll take each other out, and it's less that they have to worry about because it's happening in pitch black. And what I need y'all to put y'all thinking cap on real quick, right? Who they gonna catch in a power outage? I can't even say a power outage. Who they gonna catch in a complete blackout? Who? Ain't no cameras working. So who you gonna catch in a blackout with no lights? If they're doing it under the cover of pitch black. So now you got to be in your house with your sticky, icky. You know, I told y'all I keep a blade of 3. It's about 6 swords in my room. You want to purge all you up? Please, let's play. In the words of Doc Holliday from Tombstone, I'm your huckleberry. Say when. They want y'all to purge. That's all this is. And I honestly believe it's testing. They're testing. Now this is making me wonder whether or not the quote unquote cyber attack in what was it, Suisun, California, where they were in a complete blackout saying they were cyber attacked. We're going to cover that as well. And then they also said it happened in South Carolina. They were cyber attacked too, complete blackout. I'm starting to believe maybe they're testing to see if people are going to purge during these blackouts. That's my thought. What do you think the end game is here with what they're doing? I know the end game for all of us is going to be a complete blackout because we really going to end up in the Matrix. This is what I want you to understand. It's coming. We're going to be fighting machines is what you don't get. Simply from this story right here. If this story from that woman telling you about all those data centers that was put up in Indiana alone, Indiana, if that itself don't let you know what they are preparing for, because if they're doing it in Indiana, what makes you think they're going to stop there? We're in the AI revolution. And as much as all of us can say, hey, you know, we like AI, but we cool with what we got. Just chill. Chill. You already know they're not going to. Because we have a group of brilliant scientists, researchers, and all of that who are so preoccupied with what they can do, they never stop to think of whether or not they should. Or what's going to be the aftermath and the after effect, and what's going to come down the pipeline if you do.
I live in Gary, Indiana, but it's been over 240,000 people without power. No lights, no Wi-Fi, can't charge your phone. It's women taking cold showers. Everybody's refrigerator's off. It's restaurants closed. My neighbor's been barbecuing meat every night, and his kids outside playing, having fun as fuck in the dark because there's no school. I'm sure y'all been getting that foul smell. I've been smelling in my kitchen, though, so I decided to clean the fuck up. I'm washing my refrigerator out, and since it's off, I'm gonna let it air out until the power back on. We've been without power for like 5-6 days now. And who the fuck shot at NIPSCO? And why is somebody going around throwing shit on people? And I know y'all heard about that person that had that damn TV in the McDonald's this morning playing a video game. They said all the liquor stores.
I just know damn well y'all didn't take no whole TV to no doggone McDonald's to play a video game. Please tell me. This is what y'all gotta understand about our Mocha crew. This is for the rest of the cultures that's represented in the city. Baby, we know how to turn a bad into a good. Baby, listen. You don't know how to enjoy struggle unless you've struggled. Baby, do you know the number of times that we done created our own games? We done went outside and made up stuff. The number of stuff we made up as kids could probably be sold in a store today for money when we got bored. The worst thing you can do is expect that a person that struggles is going to be down and depressed just because they're struggling. No, majority of the people who struggled learned how to survive and maintain and keep a smile on their face in the midst of struggle. You know why? Because when I was a little girl, my mother used to tell me something. She used to tell me, if you're faithful over a few things, God will make you ruler over many. And that many may not come when you expect it to come, but I'll be damned if I'm not going to find myself being faithful with it, whatever he puts in my hand.
Y'all, this was day 8/day 9. Gary, Indiana being out of power. My power just kicked back in at 11 a.m. on the dot. On the fucking dot. I can't do nothing but thank the Lord. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. And I know it's still some areas still in Gary without power. So y'all, we got to continue to help out our people. Continue to pray.
So I didn't think I'll be making one of these videos, but today marks day 9th of the whole Northwest Indiana being without power. So I'm going to give you guys a little rundown of what I've been doing with my family. That fan is a portable fan. It has a LED light on there. It has chargers for the phone. This is a solar panel. I've been buying solar panels for lights in the house. Mom bought books to read and coloring books. I put the solar panels on top of my car so they can charge. In the morning, day 3, had to take out the food and throw everything away because it got...
Champagne Gang, can we make sure we add to our survival list? When we get ready to do our video on living off grid and surviving, those solar panel things that she got, that needs to be a part of the pack. Yeah, we're gonna need a bunch of those off grid. Okay.
Well, thank God we have a deep freezer, so we've been storing a little bit of stuff in our deep freezer. Tree in the backyard still looks like this. It's rotting now. This is what upstairs look like. I haven't been up there because it's been really, really, really hot. My clothes is filthy. Can't wash anything. Thank God we still have hot water. But other than that, it's just been really dark. My mom been buying these lanterns, so that's been helpful. I'm surprised that the water is still hot. It's been 9 days. So after that, doing the normal routine. I clean up downstairs. There's really not that much to clean up, but I just sweep up the...
Another thing you guys have to think about as well with this is these people are going to be out of work. They've probably been out of work for the number of times that it's been off. I don't know if the entire state is out or just certain parts. However, they're going to still be expected to pay rent. And they've been 2 weeks probably without working. So that's no income. So what are they going to do to help these people with their rent? Because that's still going to be due. As a matter of fact, the utility company is still going to expect them to pay the utility bill, even though they was out of power for 2 weeks. That don't exempt them from the month because they messed up. What are these people supposed to do? I'm going to do a full video on this. I could not do a video today and not discuss what's been going on in Indiana, because I am really flabbergasted almost that there's no major news outlets that have been covering or discussing this in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I have a problem with that. I have a problem. You just leave these people in the dark to figure it out on their own. But we saw what happened with FEMA, with New Orleans and Hurricane Katrina and every other natural disaster. So at this point, we the people gonna have to set up something to help the people out. You know how that guy came up with the what is it called, the Cajun Navy? We gonna have to set up something to help each other out when we get in trouble, where we can send help. I don't know, because the government isn't doing it. Clearly they leaving everybody in the dark and telling everybody to figure it out on their own. It's not their job. But you drop in the comments and let me know what you think. We're getting ready to get into our main show. Are you ready? Raise those glasses high. Let's get ready to get into it.
Police! Help! Police! Help! Police! Help!
Here we go again.
Come on in, gang. Please do me a favor and make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Welcome to the Champagne Alley, located in Champagne Secrets. Baby, let's get ready to get into it. So I ran across this story the other day, and I was in complete disbelief. When I tell y'all, absolute, complete disbelief. So apparently, there was a whole cocoa ring going on with the college students at Penn State. Baby, they over there in college in love with the cocoa. Got it for the Lolo. Please explain to me what's going on in college. Now, I heard college can be a little risque, a little rough. I didn't go to a 4-year. I went to a technical college, got bored and stopped, and went and self-taught, went online and learned how to do what I wanted to do myself. But please explain to me what exactly is going on at Penn State. We're going to get into this deep dive. Maybe you have not heard about the 14 plus students who have been arrested at Penn State for running a cocaine operation out of the school. Y'all ready to get into it? Because you can't make this stuff up. So, oh Lord, what actually happened? So, Pennsylvania authorities announced charges against 14 people. 13 were Penn State students at or around the time of the alleged conduct. The 14 is the father of one of the accused students. So the allegations primarily center around Delta, Upsilon, and Sigma Chi, 2 off-campus fraternity houses in State College. Now, allegedly, the college doesn't really recognize these, which is why they're off campus. So this becomes important because not everybody is accused of doing the same thing. So there's a hierarchy in both the allegations and the charges. For the students, face the most serious charges of corrupt organization allegations. Others face conspiracy or communication facility charges. 8 student-age defendants are facing misdemeanor possession, paraphernalia charges, and Thomas Robinson's father is in an entirely different lane. Alleged evidence of tampering and hindering apprehension. So he tried to help cover up everything. So that distinction alone needs to stay clear throughout, because if we say 14-person cocoa ring, it sounds like the prosecutors are going after all 14 as equal partners. However, they are not. Here's my thing though. Why aren't they? According to the law, if in fact you are with someone who commits a crime and you get caught, aren't you then just as much culpable in that crime as the person who did it? Progressive said they in love with the Coke 72. Chevelle put that ish together. I'm married to the money. Shit, we live together. That's what they were singing. That was they theme song. I guarantee you, if you play music or played the cameras from wherever their rooms was, Kevin Gates was probably playing on the radio. Because they was putting that shit together. So, let's look at how far back this goes, okay? So, according to the grand jury presentment, Muhammad Hurabi allegedly began selling cocoa to other Delta Upsilon fraternity brothers around December of 2022, right? Now, these aren't necessarily the images that you'll see. I just had ChatGPT create images because, you know, some people be tripping about their likeness. If it don't look like you, you can't say nothing. After taking over another fraternity brother, okay, let me start over. Muhammad Hurabi allegedly began selling cocoa to other Delta Upsilon fraternity brothers around December 2022 after taking over for another fraternity brother. Now, I would have to ask, well, who was the other brother and why did you have to take over for him? Is he still living? Have we seen him? Is he missing in action? Do we have eyes on the person that he took over for? Because you didn't watch movies the same way I've watched movies. And if you've watched the same movies I've watched, you know when somebody is taking over for somebody else, well, one or the other generally don't end up in Rush Hour 3, is all I'm saying. Trap queen, for real. In July 2023, Hurabi allegedly asked Thomas Robinson to become his business partner in distributing the cocoa. So the public 2023 to 24 description of the organization does not mean the cocoa suddenly appeared at these houses in 2023. The grand jury alleged that activity inside Delta Upsilon by late 2022. That raises the first question. Who was the fraternity brother? Again, I just asked that took over for Hurabi. The complaint does not publicly identify who that person was. My question is why? Wouldn't you want to know who the other person was that's involved in the criminal organization that you're trying to prosecute? Because if he took over for someone, that means that someone was there before him. How long were they there before him? Who did that person report to? Who did that person take over for? That means the visible tree may have roots that go further back than the 14 people that are charged. So let's look at the two sides of this network, right? So let's think of it as two branches. Sigma Chi side and the Agostino. Look, these names are blowing me. The Delta Upsilon side. So, according to witness testimony summarized by the grand jury, Lars Ziepvat initially had the cocoa source in Philadelphia. Oh, so now we crossing states. Ziepvat and Abbiatello allegedly began buying roughly 3.5 to 7 ounces at a time. When that source stopped dealing with Ziepvat, prosecutors say Abbiatello found a new source in New York, so that's another state, capable of supplying larger quantities. So by spring 2023, Ziepvat testified that Abbiatello, please forgive me for destroying his name because I know I am. Abbiatello, allegedly purchased 100 grams, and Ziepvat perceived a change. What had allegedly been acquiring drugs for personal use and friends became for-profit distribution operation. So now we ain't just getting high to get high. Now somebody done thought, we could really make money doing it. The complaint says they allegedly expanded from Sigma Chi to other fraternities and other Penn State students. Delta Upsilon side, Thomas Robinson. So Hurabi allegedly introduced Robinson to Abatiello. In fall 23, prosecutors say Hurabi arranged a purchase from Abatiello through Snapchat, approximately 100 grams to $4,000, which would equate to approximately $4,000, according to them. Robinson and Hurabi allegedly contributed money, divided the cocoa into half-gram bags, sold those bags to fraternity members and friends, and tracked sales profits between themselves. November 23, approximately 250 grams, around $7,000. So now they're escalating. Now we don't just want to deal with, the little stuff. We see how we move in this. Let's go and move something real quick. They're definitely... She said, what in the Tariq and Kane is going on? Oh, my mama. Y'all, this is not funny, but it is. Because what are these kids doing? What? Look, these kids out here saying they ain't finna struggle. They trying to get it by any means necessary. You want to be frustrated with them, and I want to be frustrated because I want to tell them to do it the legal way, but how can we tell them to do it the legal way when all of our politicians and our leaders are doing it illegally? It's kind of hard to tell everybody else, do it the right way. Leave criminality alone. But we have a president sitting in the White House with 32 felonies. It's almost hard to tell the people that crime doesn't pay. When our president, Mr. Trump, Exhibit A. Again, prosecutors say Robinson and Hurabi pooled their money and intended to share the profits. That is the point where this starts to look considerably less like some frat boys selling drugs at parties and more like procurement, capitalization, bulk purchase, processing, packaging, retail distribution, profit accounting, reinvestment. This distinction starts to sound a whole lot more like a RICO. So please explain to me why there's no RICO. So let's look at the pledge allegations. And this kind of is probably one of the most disturbing parts. So the grand jury presentment says that several Delta Upsilon pledges were used to package cocoa into half-gram bags for sale following one of the larger purchases. And on the Sigma Chi side, ZFAT testified that when Abatiello allegedly obtained a large cocaine supply, he would bring it back to the fraternity and have the brothers and pledges assist in preparing and packaging it for resale. This sounds like a criminal organization. Attorney General Dave Sunday publicly characterized this as some pledges indoctrination into the fraternities. AP reported authorities' allegation to pledges were made to cut and package cocaine. So in order for you to get into the fraternities, you had to be willing to cut and package the cocoa, which would make sense as to why so many of them were hit with misdemeanor charges. See, this goes back to that question that I consistently throw out to y'all. Can you be bought? If what you want has a negative connotation attached to it, do you still go after what you want because you want it? Or do you stand up for your morals and your character and have standards? That's the question for 2026. People are going to do one or two things. They're going to go after what they want, or they're going to stay back because they have standards. What's your standard? Is getting into a fraternity worth messing up your name? Is it? I don't know. Drop in the comments and let me know what you think. So, the grand jury says Robinson described a March 1924 purchase of 500 grams for $18,000. Investigators say the date was corroborated by a photograph on Robinson's phone showing several Delta Upsilon pledges, helping package the cocoa into smaller bags. That is important because the allegation is not described merely as somebody told investigators this happened. Prosecutors say they have a photograph. Here's my question. What happened, or should I say, at what point does alleged drug packaging become part of the fraternity culture rather than merely misconduct by an individual fraternity member? So this became the crux of the fraternity itself, not just specific people. So the fraternity became a drug muse. And if you wanted to join the fraternity, you had to be willing to be a part of the muse. So that is exactly what Sigma Chi's national organization says it is now investigating. Whether this was individual conduct or organized chapter activity. This is what they're looking into. And of course, it's going to be the argument that the pledges were young, impressionable boys who were just doing as they were told. Cocaine, sir? Do you not realize that if you touch it with your bare hands and it can get into your system? We're not talking about flour. We're not talking about granulated sugar. We're talking about the cocoa, sir. The cocoa. It's absolutely organized. It is. It is. It's not individual conduct when they're all participating willingly, unless you're telling me that they were never allowed to leave the fraternity house. And while they were there, they were consistently under lock and key, couldn't leave out. And there were people standing at the doors and windows with a sticky, icky to make sure they didn't. You got to be telling me that they did this of their own accord. Nisi said, damn, them parties was off the chain. Everybody in the college higher than an MF. All that dealing, the habits was outrageous. Everybody suspect, even the dean, everybody. Because you telling me this was able to go this far and nobody knew anything? You're not going to convince me that nobody knew anything about this in this college. From those leaders to the faculty to the dean of students. They didn't know nothing. Ain't no cameras. Y'all didn't. Oh, you know what? I forgot. The fraternity house is off campus. Forgot about that. It's off campus. So this wasn't done in any fraternity houses on campus because I don't think these are chapters that Penn State recognized, even though the students were a part of Penn State. Got to be more careful. So now we're going to look at, hold on. The quantities. Hold on, did I miss one? Hold on. I think I'm missing a board. Am I missing a board? Hold on, y'all. Anyway, we're going to talk about it. So, let me see if I miss the New York pipe. Yeah, I did. Hold on. No, I got to add it because y'all got to see the board. One minute. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna just put it at the top. I hope you guys are enjoying the show. Please do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button, the notification bell, so you'll be notified whenever we jump into the Champaign City for another show. So we're going to get into the quantities, right? So we're going to leave the 100-gram neighborhood because according to Robinson's testimonies and statements summarized in the complaint, he allegedly purchased from Abiatello January 24, approximately 6 to 8 ounces. February 24, approximately 6 to 8 ounces. March 19th, approximately 500 grams for $18K. July 12th through 13th, same year, approximately 1 kilo. September 21st, y'all, they moving weight. They were playing. This is a big rich town. I just come from the poorest part. Bright light, city light, I gotta make it. This is where we come down. Yo, what is going on in college? Between January and September, baby, they escalated from 6 to 8 ounces to a kilo. Baby, they moving weight. They move. So everybody in school just high. Everybody high. Everybody need a drug test at this point. At this point, they need to test everybody in the school, including the dean, and everybody, faculty, everybody need, because you ain't going to tell me they wasn't selling to none of them faculty. You ain't going to tell me that. And they moving this, what, it was happening in the city around the campus? The criminal complaint lists the kilo transactions at approximately $22,000 each. Here's one of those tiny details, right? Investigators say one alleged kilogram purchase date was corroborated because Robinson remembered that it occurred during the weekend of the Penn State home football game. So they caught and they all singing like canaries. They just talking. This is that. Now, I thought Ocean Springs gave me Billionaire Boys Club. Oh, no. Baby, this is giving me Billionaire Boys Club meets Great Gatsby or something. Because what in the hell? And all of these kids outside of the parent, the adult, that's, you know, the part of the ringleader, they're all under 21. And you know when you're young and you start making money, the more you make, the more you want to make. Especially when you see how fast it's coming in. But they don't tell you how you fall just as fast though. So now let's look at the New York pipeline. Let me scroll back. So prosecutors allege that Abiatello did not always make the supply runs personally. So ZFAT and Robert Zanola allegedly made 3 trips to New York to obtain large quantities for Abiatello. According to ZFAT's testimony, Abiatello would give them a location, a man would arrive with the cocoa, and they would bring it back to the State College. Payment allegedly came either in cash or through a reduced price for the cocoa. So ZFAT further alleged that Abiatello was obtaining around 100 grams every 3 to 6 weeks from his New York source during one phase of the operation. Y'all, they got it broken down into phases. I want to know who was the one that sat down and planned the operation. That's what I want to know. So there's like 3 major questions that I would have. One would be, or should I say there's one major? I would just say one. Who is the New York source? Who is the New York supplier? I have a feeling this thing finna blow clean up. Publicly, because here's the thing. They're not only just in the college. I don't think this happens in a state that nobody knows. You telling me that nobody on that police force knew this was happening and covered it and protected it and made sure it moved? That's you trying to convince me of that? Please. Oh, I think this definitely goes higher than any of us know. Publicly released material describe him simply as a source man who supplied cocoa. If investigators believe this was an upper-level trafficking organization, then what exists above Abiatello? That's the thing. Now, you remember how I told y'all with the Diddy case? Here's my question. If they don't come out, I'll put it like this. If they don't get hit with a RICO for this, they're covering for someone. They're covering for somebody. Argue with your mama, not me. If they don't get hit with a RICO for this case right here, with all of the stuff that I'm telling y'all, and in just a second, I'm going to play you the video so that you can hear it, because y'all know I love to hear some Jesse Weber on Law and Crime. So I'm going to play you Jesse Weber talking about this from Law and Crime. If they do not get hit with a RICO, they're covering for someone. There's no way this is not a criminal organization. They hit Diddy with a RICO for slanging Pekka with Pekka and baby oil. And this don't get a RICO? Something wicked this way comes. My spidey senses are tingling, and something doesn't smell right. All right. Here's the thing, right? I call this follow the bubbles, follow the money, follow the fees. Because there are several alleged money trails in this. This is why I don't understand why it's not a RICO. The complaint says Andrew Acker told the grand jury he sometimes received bags from Abiatello to sell and retain a portion of the proceeds. After Abiatello graduated, Acker alleges that he once met Abiatello halfway between State College and New York and exchanged $10,000 cash for roughly 300 to 500 grams of cocoa. Here's the problem. For this to be a criminal organization, they move real sloppy. Real sloppy. See, listen. No tea, no shade, right? A little story time. Don't judge me. We listen, but we don't judge, okay? So low-key, I used to want to be Griselda Blanca. I really did. I can't even make it up. You know what my problem was? I hadn't figured out how to do it in my hands and not touch it yet. That was the only problem. If I would have figured out, and I didn't sit down long enough to think of a way to do it, because you know the way your girl brain works. Nope. Who planned this? Because y'all just meeting up on the street, exchanging $10,000 and 300 to 500 grams of cocoa in the open, and you really want me to believe that there was no police involved in making sure that they're good and the exchanges went? 300 to 500 grams of cocoa, $10,000 cash you met up to exchange between the State College and New York. Oh yeah, this goes much higher up. Much higher up. Acker also claimed he paid approximately $30,000 through Cash App and estimated that between cash and digital transaction, he's paid more than $50,000 for drugs. Robinson has separately been reported as allegedly accepting cocoa payments through Venmo using a version of his actual name according to earlier court documents. So you didn't even try to cover up your transactions. Y'all didn't try to create fake accounts. I mean, at this point, if y'all was gonna go this far, y'all was supposed to get a plug at the bank. You supposed to have a plug at the bank. What? Daddy Dearest didn't get you that far into the plan yet? Y'all just saw the money coming to get in and just decided to go willy-nilly with it. Just young hoes run free. Oh, let me get back in the house. So, investigators potentially have Cash App, Venmo, Snapchat communications. Because of course I know they assume that because Snapchat, it disappears after a while, that it would just be gone after a while, and not that, but it's the internet. So once it's on the internet, even though it might be gone from Snapchat, baby, it's still out there. Phone photographs, not you got phone photographs. You didn't take pictures. Please tell me you don't have the evidence in your phone. Witness testimony and physical seizures. So now let's look at how the case actually broke open. So the grand jury says the State College police investigation began September 24. So investigators developed confidential informants who conducted controlled cocaine purchases from Thomas Robinson. Police say they conducted 6 controlled purchases between September and December 24, followed by a search warrant at Robinson's Delta Upsilon room. The substances were submitted to the Pennsylvania State Police Laboratory and confirmed as cocaine. Then came the domino effect. So this is where it falls apart, because Robinson, the oldest one of the group, the daddy, decided to cooperate. So the daddy got spooked and decided he gonna snitch on everybody. After his arrest, the grand jury material says Robinson gave law enforcement information about his narcotic source. He identified Agostino Abbiatello, and that opens the door to the larger network. So structurally, confidential informant Robinson leads to Abbiatello, leads to Sigma Chi network, leads to New York, Philadelphia sourcing, leads to couriers and distributors, leads to a wider Penn State network. Again, why I don't understand why this isn't a RICO. Now let's look at the debt allegations. So apparently this was a whole big thing of you owe me, so sell for me. This is the way he got the people to do his bidding. So ZFAT testified that Abbiatello loaned him $1,500 so he and Fraternity brothers could go on spring break. ZFAT says that when he could not repay the debt, Abbiatello made him deliver cocoa. The complaint also describes another alleged distributor who owed Abbiatello thousands after taking a loan. That introduces another possible mechanism investigators are describing. So we're not just talking about friendship or fraternity loyalty. We're talking about them using debt as a leverage. So wouldn't that also count as coercion? Or because you chose to do it, it wouldn't be seen as coercion? At what point do they consider a thing beyond you? You know what I mean? Like you have a situation where a person tells you, like he just did, you can't pay me back, so you're going to have to sell for me. And I'm sure something else came out after that, or bye. You know what I'm saying? At what point does the fear of the repercussion save you from the consequences of the action? Or does it in such cases? Drop in the comments and let me know what you think. So now let's look at this dear old dad that we've been discussing. Thomas Robinson's father, Paul Robinson, is a lone defendant in this group who was not one of Penn State's students. So prosecutors accused him of felony tampering and hindering apprehension, alleging he took steps to conceal evidence, including a safe containing drugs and cash, and obstruct the investigation. So here's the crazy part. He's also an attorney at a Pittsburgh law firm. His firm has said the allegations do not involve its clients or legal services. So what exactly was alleged to be in that safe would be a question I would have. Whose property did the safe belong to? Was it moved or concealed? How did the investigators determine Dad knew what he was allegedly concealing? Like how do you know? Did he know? Was the cash connected to the drug proceeds? See, this is where things can get kind of tricky, because if you're dealing with a group of kids with money, it's easy to explain money. How can you differentiate, except for the fact that it seems like people are talking, but how do you differentiate the money that was theirs from money they obtained from drugs? Now let's take a look at who got the charges. Felony corrupt organizations plus conspiracy plus unlawful proceeds allegations. So Agostino Abiatello, Thomas Robinson, Muhammad Huraibi, and Lars Ziepfat, those were the ones that got the felony corrupt organizations plus conspiracy plus unlawful proceeds allegations. I still don't understand why they didn't get hit with a RICO. If you're hitting them with a felony corrupt organization, why wouldn't you hit them with a RICO? Felony conspiracy, criminal use of communication facility. Well, that was Robert Zanolia. Misdemeanor possession, paraphernalia allegations. That would be Liam Smith, Michael Brogno, Caden Howe, Connor Hurley, Seth Beardsley, Kyle Ridpath, Daniel Price, Charles Wiseman. Separate obstruction, tampering lane, Paul Robinson. And remember, people include Andrew Acker, Ryan Matson, and others appear within the factual narrative, but that does not automatically mean they are among the group of 14. So they could still be including more people into this because other names have been brought up. So now, no RICO? Let's look at, how should I say this? What would qualify for an individual to be able to get a RICO? Because in this case, there hasn't been any federal RICO charges that have been publicly announced. Now, here's the thing. Because we don't have a name for a New York distributor or any of that, they could be going after the top of the organization. Here's my bigger question. If you charge them too low now, can you go after them higher in a RICO? So if they hit them with these charges, right? And let's say they are found guilty of these charges, could they in turn be hit with a RICO if they bring a RICO against a criminal organization? Or would that be considered double jeopardy? It's a question. I'll be looking into it to see, because this case has me curious. So, 4 defendants charged under Pennsylvania's Corrupt Organization Statute 18 PA.C.S. squiggly S line sign letter thingamajig 911. So that is Pennsylvania's racketeering / organized crime statute that I read you. So the law literally uses concepts like enterprise, racketeering activity, pattern of racketeering activity, conducting an enterprise through racketeering, conspiracy to participate in the enterprise. And a violation of that section is graded as a first-degree felony. Pennsylvania's definition of racketeering activity expressively includes qualifying narcotic offenses. So the question that I keep asking, why isn't there a federal RICO in this situation? You got 14 people. That's damn near a organization. You got leaders of it. You got people calling shots. You got people sending people to do pickups for drugs. You got people meeting people to get money. You got people telling people, because you owe me a debt, you got to do this for me. So you got coercion. You're telling me this is not an organization of criminality? Here's the problem. Because Pennsylvania prosecutors essentially did bring their state racketeering hammer, hold on one second. Let me go here. So, the facts allege contain ingredients that can appear in a federal RICO prosecution, right? But you can't conclude that the prosecutors will charge it. Federal RICOs require an enterprise and a pattern of qualifying racketeering. We said that. The statute also requires a connection to interstate and foreign commerce. We already connected the interstate because they didn't travel across state lines. So this case includes allegations of cocoa sourcing from New York into Pennsylvania. Problem is, that doesn't automatically equal a federal RICO prosecution, according to ChatGPT. Federal prosecutors make separate charging decisions. So they may use ordinary federal drug conspiracy statutes, money laundering statutes, continuing criminal enterprise statutes, RICO, or leave a prosecution primarily to state authorities depending upon the evidence and the jurisdiction. So they didn't announce a federal RICO before the defendants are being charged with the Pennsylvania corrupt organization charges. My question is that stronger than a RICO? Is it as strong as a RICO? Why did they choose that over the RICO? The crazy thing about this is, this was not the first time that a grand jury was actually convened. September 12th, 2025, they convened regarding members of Delta Upsilon. So the document says those early presentments recommended charges against several fraternity members, and specifically references recommended corrupt organizations, conspiracy-related charges involving Thomas Robinson and Ryan Matson. So that matters because August 26th is not necessarily the day the police discovered the cocoa ring. The investigation had already generated grand jury action almost a year earlier. So my question comes, what happened between 25 and 26? And why did you wait till 26? Were you waiting to see if they were going to escalate? And who all were you investigating would be the better question. Now let's look at the allegations, because they didn't just stop in 2024. So here's another nugget or a thing to throw in there. The newly released grand jury material says witnesses describe Abiatello as the principal cocoa dealer at Penn State during 23-24. But documents go further. So it alleges continued distribution among friends as recently as February 26. When he learned people were speaking with law enforcement about Penn State drug dealing, he allegedly asked them not to disclose his involvement. That means core fraternity operation, largely 23-24, but alleged cocoa activity connected to the supposed top supplier, potentially into 26. So he didn't stop. Now let's look at where our case stands tonight, right? The major new development is Agostino Abiatello. He did not appear for his scheduled arraignment Monday, then surrendered Tuesday morning. He was arraigned on numerous felonies and the judge denied bail. The Attorney General says the next procedural step will be preliminary hearings. Penn State has placed Delta Upsilon on interim suspension while conducting its own investigation. The university says Sigma Chi is not currently a recognized Penn State organization and operates outside university oversight. So Delta Upsilon is one that the college recognizes, but Sigma Chi wasn't. So just to put that clarity and clarification in there, Delta Upsilon was recognized by the college, but Sigma Chi is not. Sigma Chi's national organization separately says it suspended the charged members affiliated with it and placed the chapter on interim suspension while determining whether the allegations reflect individual misconduct or chapter level activity, whether this was the entire chapter or whether this was a few individuals involved. Delta Upsilon's national organization says members involved were expelled, suspended, or resigned. So now I just want to show you just a few questions that I had regarding this. You were able to see some of my questions. How much cocoa actually moved through this network in total? What's the total amount of money realistically did this organization generate? Another question is, are there any offshore accounts? Because I can't see you elevating and escalating that fast and keeping all of your money in regular accounts. So another big question I have, because I do know, of course, the pledges were charged with misdemeanors, but my question would be, was it willing or were they pressured? Was it hazing? Like, what would that be considered if I owe you money and you tell me because I can't pay you back, I got to sell drugs? Would that be considered hazing because I'm a part of a fraternity? How widespread did this go? Do you think this is isolated to Sigma Chi and Delta Upsilon? Or do you think it goes much further? Do you think they move too fast with this case? Because it sounds to me like there's some much larger players at play. Or do you think they wanted to get the small fish out the way so that they can go after the large fish? Because it sounds like some of the small fish are giving them up. Drop in the comments and let me know what you think. And what I want to do now is I want to jump over to Law and Crime. And we're going to listen to Law and Crime break down this crazy case. Check this out.
The evidence showed that cocaine was primarily packaged at the fraternity houses and that packaging was done by fraternity brothers and oftentimes pledges.
The Attorney General of Pennsylvania has just announced a bombshell criminal case against 14 people in connection with an alleged sprawling cocaine trafficking operation involving former Penn State University students and fraternities. We have the alleged evidence, the shocking allegations, and more details on how this case unfolded. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Okay, before we jump into this, all you cat owners out there, who does not want their cat to be healthy and happy, right? Feeding them Smalls, that's the answer. Why? Look, most cat food out there is made with cheap fillers and meat byproducts and artificial ingredients. And the truth is your cat's health is paying the price. That's the way it is. But Smalls is different. Their recipes are made with preservative-free, 100% human-grade ingredients.
In 2024,
overall cat food, BuzzFeed reviewers reported that their cats went ballistic for this stuff. So your cat's health starts with what they eat. Try Smalls, get 60% off your first order plus free shipping and treats for life.
Y'all better take care of them cats.
Sidebar.
Between 2023 and 2024, large amounts of cocaine, kilos, were brought from Philadelphia and New York to State College, where they were cut and packaged for sale primarily to Penn State students. The two main dealers, the top of the chain, if you will, were senior members of the Delta Upsilon and Sigma Chi fraternities.
That is Pennsylvania Attorney General Dave Sunday announcing criminal charges against 13 former Penn State University students and a student's father. So you're talking 14 people in total, all in connection with this alleged cocaine trafficking operation that was occurring through 2 off-campus fraternity houses. And as laid out at yesterday's press conference and on the AG's website,
Hey, Progressive, you know that's a book title, right? Woes of a Hustler. I will read that book. I done already planned a whole movie in my head. It was planned. I promise. You better use it before I steal it.
Dino Abatiello and Thomas Robinson are accused of being at the top, the big fish, the main suppliers, who would make these trips to Philadelphia and New York for these large quantities of cocaine. And as we'll get into, it's that alleged travel, that alleged sophistication, that alleged complexity, which adds to the charges. Now, keep all this in mind, okay? Because I have a lot more detail from a court filing that I will get into, okay? And as I pledged you before, I think one of the most shocking aspects of this case is that pledges, so fraternity pledges, you know, the freshman students who are trying to be accepted into a fraternity, that they were allegedly directed to cut and package the cocaine. Now, here's a better sense of the charges as presented to a grand jury. Remember, a grand jury, the standard is really low to get back criminal charges, right? There has to be sufficient probable cause. But I want you to listen to this and listen very carefully to not only the wild allegations in general and the charges, but particularly against the father, who we believe to be Paul Robinson.
Agostino Abatiello, Thomas Robinson, and 2 others, Mohammed Harabi and Lars Ziepfat, are charged with felony corrupt organizations because this was a coordinated and organized cocaine trafficking operation with regular trips to those source cities and large amounts of cocaine being brought back to these fraternities. They are also charged with conspiracy, dealing in proceeds of unlawful activity, and related offenses. A 5th person, Robert Zanola, is charged with felony conspiracy and criminal use of communication facility and related misdemeanors. These are the 5 primary dealers. The 8 other student-age defendants in this case have been charged with misdemeanor counts of drug possession and paraphernalia. The only non-student charge is Thomas Robinson's father, Paul Robinson, who we allege took steps to conceal evidence, including a safe containing drugs and cash, and obstruct this investigation.
And AG Sunday emphasized, at least twice during this press conference, that despite the gravity and the seriousness of these charges, and we'll talk about the evidence in a minute, all these players, all these defendants are innocent unless proven guilty. And I'll get into the alleged evidence in a minute, but my gosh, wow, right? And when I heard, let's say, lower tiered individuals being charged with misdemeanors, first thing I thought about is, okay, do we have potential cooperating witnesses? Lower level offenses, maybe plea deals possible in the works? Can they be that connective tissue? Are they going to testify against the big fish, the organizers, the suppliers? I want you to keep that in mind when we talk about this court filing in a minute. But when you have a complex operation like this, it's about getting the masterminds, right? The ones who organized all this. But just to be clear, those charged are Agostino Abatiello, Thomas Robinson, Mohammed Harabi, Lars Ziepfat, Robert Zanola, Liam Smith, Michael Brogno, Caden Howe, Connor Hurley, Seth Beardsley, Kyle Ridpath, Daniel Price, Charles Wiseman, and Paul Robinson. But a few more interesting tidbits from this presser. First of all, why are we only seeing charges now?
With the charges dating back to 2023 or the investigation, some might ask why weren't these folks arrested earlier if they were doing this amount of drugs?
So the incidents occurred during the course of 2023, 2024, and that's when obviously we then were brought in. Investigations of this nature take time. They're very detailed, and what we wanted to do was make sure that we took the time to arrest all of these individuals so that we could do our best to root out this criminal organization.
Oh, child, please stop. Somebody please get somebody else and put them up there. I'm so sick of law enforcement, and it ain't got nothing to do with black versus white or none of that. I'm sick of law enforcement because where are y'all getting y'all training and degrees from? The hell you mean you wanted to get them all? You ain't got them all yet. You ain't got New York. You ain't got, what was it, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania? You ain't got them. You don't have the Connect in New York. You don't have the other person that this guy took over for. You don't have nothing but kids. The most money that moved with these 14 is about $50K at one time. We're not talking 100,000, 300 millions of dollars. They still moving money and still moving a nice amount of product. But in order for them to move product the way I showed y'all they were moving, the way he was reeing up, and every time he read up, you know, you got to double it. Come on now, they got to have somebody with that kind of product to re-up that kind of product. And you gonna stick it all on frat boys? The door. Control, Alt, Delete, restart. I'm sick of it. I'm still trying to figure out where our Nancy Guthrie is, cause they done clearly fumbled that whole thing. That ain't no, she probably, Lord, ain't no telling. Now you gonna mess up. You done already messed up Diddy RICO case. I told y'all they was gonna mess up Diddy RICO case. Now you finna mess up another one. Yup. Let's continue. I am sick of it.
To stop it from being able to continue to deal cocaine in the future.
Oh, and when Sunday was asked about hazing-related charges for the pledges, right, allegedly being directed to do all this?
I'm not going to say allegedly. These police is trash. They're trash. They can argue with their mama. The police forces is trash. The leaders are trash. The investigations are trash. You think just Nolan's case was handled horribly? No. All of them. They don't care anymore. It don't even seem like they putting any real effort anymore. The FBI not FBIing. They sitting back watching the state police fruck up everything and not doing nothing about it. Just they don't care. They don't care. When we realize these people don't care about us, maybe we'll start doing something different. Maybe we have to realize that they don't care about us for us to start caring about each other. Maybe.
He said this is an ongoing investigation, so perhaps keeping the door open for future charges. What about the school's responsibility, the school's knowledge?
I know there may be many questions about the university in regards to these students and this conduct. This is very serious criminal conduct. There was nothing junior or childlike about this type of conduct. This was an upper-level trafficking organization for this region in Pennsylvania. In fact, multiple witnesses who testified in front of the grand jury referred to Battiello as the largest dealer of cocaine for Penn State University students. Regarding the university's knowledge or actions in response to this conduct, in consideration of the confidential nature of the grand jury proceedings and ongoing active prosecutions, I can say this. We did not hear of any drug packaging happening on Penn State's campus. Again, the packaging happened at off-campus fraternity houses. And the actual drug dealing was largely from friend to friend, fraternity brother to fraternity brother, acquaintance to acquaintance, and at fraternity houses and or during parties or social engagements.
Seems to me kind of suggesting the university may be separated from all this, but maybe a question that...
Okay, so press pause, because no, that ain't what it seemed like he was saying. It tried to make it seem like he was trying to dilute the activities that these young men were doing, saying that it was primarily, so they brought all this cocoa to sell amongst their friends. So you just saying it was party favors. That's what we're saying. So that's why they didn't get hit with a RICO. Because they were just exchanging party favors amongst friends. It just happened to be the cocoa, which is illegal. So you got to hit them with something because it's a group of them. Instead of hitting them with what they should have been hit with when they planned and acted out a whole criminal organization. Y'all, this looked like Skull and Bones or something that I'm watching play out on the screen. All the states mentioned are family guarded by people from old countries, Italy, Ireland, etc. This is only going to go so far. Allegedly, I agree with you. I agree with you. And that's why I told y'all, I really feel like if they don't get hit with a RICO in this case, if a RICO does not come out of this case, mark my words, they are protecting someone up high. This don't happen without somebody controlling it. Somebody's controlling it, somebody's protecting it, somebody's monitoring it, and somebody's watching out for it. There's some new crackheads and dropouts for sure. Allegedly, rehab about to make some dollars. These doggone kids ain't trying to go to no doggone rehab. They think the cocoa is the new fun drug. I have never seen so many young people argue and put each other out for doing cocaine before in my life. When I watched it on Baddies, I'm looking like, so we just willy-nilly just talking about doing cocaine? When did cocaine become the weed of 2026? When? I have never in the history of my life ever wanted to try cocoa, crack, meth, salts, none of it. Heroin, never. Why? I seen what it did to people I knew. Why would I want to try it?
May arise somehow in the form of disciplinary action or maybe even litigation. I mean, the New York Post reports that Penn State has suspended Delta Upsilon while it investigates these allegations. They also announced that Sigma Chi is not recognized by the university, actually operates outside of its supervision. Andrea Dowhauer, Penn State's vice president for student affairs, had the following statement released, quote, "We are horrified by these serious allegations against current and former students. Criminal activity, including hazing, such as this, has no place at our institution, and we will cooperate with law enforcement in any way we can. We will continue to enhance our efforts around health and safety and hazing educational efforts for all our organizations." Put that to the side. So accompanying this announcement was the release of an affidavit of probable cause and a statement of findings of fact from the grand jury. I want to read you sections from that because it provides a lot more details about how this whole case unfolded, how people were investigated, the evidence, the potential evidence, and more specifics of this investigation. So it says, quote, "The grand jury is investigating a case which began in September 2024, wherein Detective Donald Paul of the State College Police Department initiated an investigation into a cocaine distribution ring being operated in State College, Pennsylvania. Early in the investigation, Detective Paul was able to develop confidential informant, CI, that conducted several controlled purchases of cocaine from an individual whose sources was associated with two fraternities at Penn State University, Delta Upsilon and Sigma Chi. Detective Paul told the grand jury that a controlled purchase is a method used to buy illegal drugs using a CI who is under the control of law enforcement." That is exactly what I expected from this case. That's what I expected when I was listening to that press conference from AG Sunday. Using a CI, a confidential informant, or informants like this, it is key. It is key to seeing how an alleged operation worked, who was involved, creates that connective link. You're able to get the substances in question, test them, link.
Hey, some of these kids look old as hell. Aviatello, child, that baby look like he at least 30. He look at least 30, but he definitely look like he got some ancient money behind him. He look like he might have his grandparents might, been from Mexican cartel, maybe Spain, maybe Italy, maybe all of them. Who knows? I wonder what the conversation was to start this. Like, what was the conversation? Hey, y'all, I got an idea. We finna make some money. This is a big, rich town. I just come from the poorest part. Y'all think that's how the conversation went? Because I promise you, this is Netflix is preparing a documentary right now. They're gonna do a movie on this. They got to. It's too big. Too big.
Back to who's purchasing, who's selling, who's supplying. That is a link. That is what you need in a complex organization. The filing continues. After several controlled purchases, Detective Paul, along with the State College Police Department, arrested Thomas Robinson, who was selling cocaine from the fraternity Delta Upsilon. Robinson was charged with the deliveries to the CI, as well as items seized after a search warrant was executed on his room at the fraternity. By the way, a defense attorney will try to, hammer away at the search warrant, hammer away at the CI, and also the circumstances surrounding that transaction, who initiated what, things like that, just to keep an eye out for. Quote, a total of 6 controlled purchases were made from Robinson between September 2024 and December 2024. Frequency matters. The drugs were sent to the Pennsylvania State Police Crime Lab for testing. This is what I talked about before. The drugs sold by Robinson were confirmed to be cocaine, and the total weight between the controlled purchases and seizure from Robinson's room totaled 73.8 grams of cocaine. After Robinson's arrest, this is key, he cooperated with law enforcement and gave information about his source of illegal narcotics. Robinson told police that Agostino Abatiello, who was a Penn State student and member of the Sigma Chi fraternity, was his source for cocaine. Robinson explained that he obtained cocaine from Abatiello on numerous occasions. So now you have an alleged positive ID of the drugs and reported cooperation from a key figure in this case. Again, I go back to the idea, potential deal for testimony, if it's on the table, but you have alleged confessions, statements, and while potentially subject to defense attorneys trying to quash those, keep them out of a trial, it could be said to be potentially damning evidence, right? Particularly if these are recorded interviews with Robinson. But to give you an idea of these alleged purchases, it says, quote, he detailed 6 larger transactions that took place between January 2024 and September 2024. The first 2 purchases of cocaine from Abatiello were for between 6 and 8 ounces on each transaction. The third purchase took place around March 19, 2024, when Robinson purchased 500 grams from Abatiello for $18,000. The date was confirmed using a photo on Robinson's phone, wherein several pledges of Delta Upsilon were assisting Robinson in packaging the cocaine into smaller baggies for distribution. We don't know exactly what that photo is, but if it purports to show what they're claiming it shows, you know how that could be important evidence, how that could be compelling evidence. And particularly the metadata, you can determine when that photo was taken. And in terms of the payment, in terms of the money trail, keep that in mind too. I'm going to get to that. Quote, Robinson's last drug purchase from Abatiello occurred around September 2024 when he purchased an additional kilogram of cocaine for $22,000. A lot of money here. The date was confirmed because the sale took place on a weekend of a home football game at Penn State University. Now here's the part where the grand jury lists out the alleged connective tissue of the players, the defendants. Quote, Robinson explained that he first met Abatiello through Muhammad Harabi, who I mentioned before. Harabi was one of Robinson's fraternity brothers at Delta Upsilon. Harabi first introduced Robinson to cocaine at the fraternity house. Around December 2022, Harabi first started selling cocaine to other brothers within the house after taking over for another fraternity brother. In July 2023, Harabi approached Robinson and asked him to become business partners in distributing cocaine. When Robinson and Harabi returned to school in the fall of 2023, they started buying drugs together. Initially, Harabi acquired drugs from Abatiello, and later he introduced Robinson so that he could purchase directly from Abatiello. Harabi testified before the grand jury that in the...
That would be the question, wouldn't it, Niecy? I'm really trying to figure out why a lot of this wasn't suspect. Why a lot of... Well, I'm not trying to figure it out because we already answered that kind of. I think they had police. I think they had officials that was in this with them. That's why I keep saying, if this does not end in a RICO, they're covering for people. And this goes a lot higher than we think.
Fall of 2023, so now you're talking about a cooperating witness. Again, I go back to this idea of plea deals. He set up the first purchase of cocaine from Abatiello using Snapchat, a messaging application on his phone. The agreement was to purchase around 100 grams of cocaine for $4,000. Robinson and Harabi both contributed cash for the purchase. Snapchat, you're talking about a potential digital money trail, digital records for the prosecution. Now, the defendants would have to explain The substance of those conversations, the payments, their purposes, that's key evidence. Quote, Abatiello brought the drugs to Delta Upsilon and delivered 100 grams of cocaine to Harabi in exchange for cash. Harabi's plan for the cocaine was to repackage it in half-gram bags to sell for profit. Robinson and Harabi would both make a commission off the sale of bags of cocaine. Harabi and Robinson then sold the individual bags to other fraternity members or friends. Robinson and Harabi would communicate with one another whenever the bag...
Hey, y'all, real quick. The police must have told them that the amount of time that they was gonna get if they didn't talk. They P.O.'s great-great-grandmother ain't been born yet. Like, I'm trying to figure out how the conversation went to make them flip and give up all this information just as soon as possible, expeditiously. What do you think it was? Do you think they threatened them with time? What do you think made them talk? Or do you think he was just the weak link in the organization and he was going to talk no matter what happened if he would have got caught? That's why you got to be careful with these crime organizations. And you know they said there's no honor amongst thieves. Ain't no honor. They going to flip on you to save themselves. That's why I never understood why y'all move so sloppy with people that you know could turn on you. See, that's why I told you. I said I couldn't become Griselda until I figured out how my hands wasn't going to touch it.
Bags were sold to keep track of their profits. As the drug business grew, Robinson utilized brothers of the fraternity to assist him in his drug operation. In fall of 2024, Connor Hurley and Michael Brogna, brothers at Delta Upsilon, assisted Robinson by packaging cocaine and delivering bags of cocaine to individuals for purchase. Additionally, Ryan Matson, who was described...
Niecy, you know what? That makes a lot of good and doggone sense. Because if y'all sitting here selling off these drugs in the schoolhouse, around the schoolhouse, in the neighborhood, to the officials, and the officials protecting you allegedly and all of this, when are y'all studying? So are they paying for degrees too? Because if you escalating your crime organization like this much, when are you studying for your degree? What coursework are you doing? I wonder if he has a degree in business. Is that what he's going to school for, do you think? I'm just trying to understand. 14 boys. How are their grades? 9 times out of 10, they probably was paying somebody to do it or using ChatGPT, but you can't fake a test or a quiz. So how was their grades is what I want to know. Were they still excelling in school? Well, some of them, they did say no longer went to Penn State, but the ones that did, are they still excelling in school while they were running a whole drug operation out the fraternity house? Baby, if they start looking into Penn State and finding out these people was buying and paying for degrees and associates and bachelors and masters and all, Lord.
Described as Robinson's best friend, was also an integral part of Robinson's drug distribution network. Matson would assist Robinson in picking up drugs from Abatiello and in distributing cocaine. Interestingly, I don't believe I mentioned Matson as one of the people who's currently facing criminal charges, right? Lars Ziepvat was identified as another business partner of Abatiello. Ziepvat was a brother at the fraternity Sigma Chi. Ziepvat and Abatiello were close friends and worked closely together in distributing drugs. Ziepvat explained that he was a cocaine user, and when he first came to Penn State, he had a source for cocaine in Philadelphia. He would get cocaine from his source in Philadelphia for himself and some of his fraternity brothers, including Abatiello. Initially, Ziepvat and Abatiello were buying between 3.5 to 7 ounces of cocaine from his Philadelphia source. After a short time, his source would no longer talk to him, so he and Abatiello sought out a new source. Abatiello then found a source in his hometown in New York that would supply them with larger amounts of cocaine. Ziepvat testified, again, maybe another cooperating witness, that once a source was obtained in New York around...
I keep telling y'all this like a movie, because what do you mean when it found another source in New York that was going to be a bigger supplier? So you just out here like Tommy. Yep. This is a big rich town. I just come from the poorest part. Because that's all I hear. That big lights, city lights, I'm gonna make it. This is where it goes down. Or whatever he has said. I feel like this is how power gets made. Power is starting to sound real 3D right now. It's live and living color. Clearly, somebody was watching Power and took some notes and said, I think I can. I think I can. Until somebody gave him some money and he said, I know I can. I know I can. Now they locked up and they like, damn. Yo, what is going on with the youth of today? I don't know. They all gonna be crackheads or drug dealers. Or deceased. I'm just so confused.
In spring 2023, Abatiello made a large purchase for 100 grams of cocaine. Once he made this large purchase, Zipfat described a shift in Abatiello, and it was clear to him that Abatiello was now selling drugs for profit rather than sourcing it for himself and a few friends. Abatiello branched out from selling cocaine within the fraternity house and extended outside the house to other fraternities and students. On another occasion, in spring 2023, Abatiello asked Zipfat and Robert Zanola, another Sigma Chi brother, to make a trip with him to New York to re-up his supply of cocaine. At the time, Zanola was already purchasing cocaine from Abatiello. Abatiello offered Zanola between $500 to $1,000 to make the trip to get cocaine. Zipfat stated that Abatiello paid half the purchase price ahead of the trip and Zanola paid for the rest in cash. Zipfat and Zanola took 3 trips to purchase large quantities of drugs for Abatiello. They would drive to a location based on an address given to them from Abatiello. A man would deliver a bag with cocaine in it to either Zipfat or Zanola, and they would return with the bag to State College and give it to Abatiello. Zipfat and Zanola received payment for making the trip from Abatiello in either cash or a cheaper price for cocaine. Zipfat explained that after Abatiello would get a large supply of cocaine, he would bring the drugs to Sigma Chi and have other brothers and pledges assist him in preparing and packaging the cocaine for resale. When Zipfat and Zanola would return with a supply of cocaine for Abatiello, he would utilize fraternity brothers or his roommates when he later moved to an off-campus apartment to assist him in cutting up the cocaine and packaging it in smaller amounts to distribute. So what you're seeing in these allegations is the level of sophistication, pattern, travel, money, payments, organization, which would help support the charges like we mentioned before: felony, corrupt organizations, conspiracy, which is essentially a criminal agreement, dealing in the proceeds of unlawful activity. Quote, Zipfat stated that during 2023 to 2024, Abatiello was the largest distributor of cocaine at Penn State University. Wow. He stated that Abatiello would boast about how much money he was making from selling cocaine. Who did he allegedly make these statements to? Could they be witnesses? Zipfat explained Abatiello loaned him $1,500 so that he and other fraternity brothers could attend a spring break trip. Zipfat stated that Abatiello then made him deliver cocaine for him when he couldn't pay back the loan. I also wonder if any of this is documented in text messages. Zipfat detailed other individuals, including Andrew Acker, who owed Abatiello thousands of dollars after taking a loan from him. Acker was another individual who was selling cocaine for Abatiello. And I do wonder, the more people that are connected, affected, allegedly involved, or communing with Abatiello, the more potential witnesses in this case. Quote, Acker began purchasing cocaine from Abatiello in late fall 2023, spring 2024, after becoming a fraternity brother at Sigma Chi. Acker described Abatiello as one of the bigger drug dealers at Penn State. Acker began selling cocaine for Abatiello to make extra cash. Acker explained that he would often use Cash App to pay Abatiello for the cocaine that he was distributing, and he believed the amount of those transactions to total around $30,000.
Hey, he must not have been listening to Mo 3. Mo 3 said my money too big for a Cash App. Like, what are we doing? Not a paper trail. Not a paper trail, love. Over $10,000 puts you on the radar. What are we doing? Cash App? Wow. That's a new one.
In total, though, Acker believes that between cash and digital transactions, he paid Abatiello over $50,000 for drugs. Cash App, digital evidence, digital records. Again, this could be tough for a defense attorney. Innocent unless proven guilty, but just talking about potential evidence here. Now, here's how this filing concludes. Quote, Several witnesses testified before the grand jury that they purchased cocaine on numerous occasions from Abatiello during their time at Penn State between January 2023 and August 2024. Many of the witnesses also either assisted or observed Abatiello preparing cocaine for sale by cutting it from a larger form to smaller individual bags for distribution. The consensus among the witnesses, and by the way, we don't know how many testified, but the consensus among the witnesses that testified before the grand jury is that Abatiello was the main dealer of cocaine at Penn State during this time frame, and he was making considerable amounts of money in the business. Abatiello has continued to distribute cocaine among his friends as recently as February 2026. Additionally, when he learned that individuals were being interviewed by law enforcement about drug dealing at Penn State, he begged them not to talk about his involvement. I don't know how they plan to prove that, but if there's some sort of communications or witness testimony, look, that's a deeply, deeply unsettling set of allegations. By the way, I can report right now, just came out, that according to CBS 4 News, investigators say that Mr. Abatiello has turned himself into authorities, that he was arraigned on multiple counts, as we talk, drug possession, conspiracy charges. They also report that according to online court records, Abatiello is now being held without bail. I don't see, as of this recording, a statement from his lawyer or lawyers, but we'll see. I do want to go back, though, for a second to AG Sunday from that press conference, where he explained why this is such a big deal. What to say to parents that are concerned about this.
With regard to parents that might be watching this and thinking about what's happening at the school, I just want to say this. There is no city, county, community that exists that doesn't have to deal with issues such as drug use, drug dealing, addiction, and things of that nature. This is something that occurs all throughout our country and all throughout the world. And that being said, we take it very, very seriously, which is why we conducted this investigation, which is why we filed the charges we filed. And I will say that not only have we filed these charges, but I promise you that we will be watching. For students who think about going to college, being away from home for the first time, and having an opportunity to kind of do what they want, they need to understand that there are always going to be ramifications for your actions. And just because you're at college and you're making money and you think that this is something you can get away with, it's not. It's extremely serious. Law enforcement takes it extremely seriously.
Sure it is if you don't try it right. If you don't try it right, they absolutely will continue to do it and do it again because, if I can get away with it the first time, why wouldn't I continue? If I get a slap on the wrist, it wasn't what they told me I was going to get, so why would I stop? The money is better to me than the slap on the wrist. I'll take the jail time if I walk out and got $3 million in the bank that they can't touch because they don't know about. Yes, drugs have always been a problem, but the biggest problem is that the ones who are supposed to keep it out the city are the ones that's protecting it and keeping it in. This is bigger than just a people issue. This is an issue as a whole, because again, I say, somebody protected this and allowed this to move the way it did for 2 years. 2 years, especially the way it escalated between January and September, the way I showed you in 2024. The amount of money, in order for them to constantly double the amount of money that they're using to pay for it, that would have to mean that they're selling enough product, that they're making enough money because they got to double it, which means they're going to have to pay more. You think in that amount of time, they didn't come on the radar of nobody? They were operating via Cash App. They were meeting outside with $10,000 and getting kilos. You honestly think they were smart enough to cover up everything they were doing and not get caught? Absolutely not. So why didn't anybody see them on the radar? Outside of when they came on the radar in 2024. And who else were you watching? Just these boys? Are you watching anyone in New York? Anyone in, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, whichever one? Are you watching someone there? Allegedly? Maybe? I don't know. Y'all drop in the comments and let me know what y'all think.
and we will continue to investigate and prosecute individuals that decide to deal drugs on college campuses.
All right, so what a development. Had to bring it to you. Big shocking news. Series of allegations. Again, they're all innocent unless proven guilty. But, my gosh, a lot to think about. That's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify.
So that's what we have on that. I want you to drop in the comments and let me know what you think about this drug operation at the college, Penn State College. 14 individuals have been arrested. Do you think they're really going to go after the others? Or do you think they're going to hang it all on these boys because they're the ones they caught? Do you think the real reason why they did not hit them with the RICO is because they want to go after whoever the head is and hit them with the RICO? So they're hitting them with the lesser charges? What do you think? Drop in the comments and let me know. Thank you for joining me for another champagne conversation, for another sip, savor, and spill. I want to say thank you because we ain't had no Garbage Pail Kids show up today. We didn't. We ain't had a sewer squad show up. Wasn't no Ruby Rods that we had to get together. We didn't. We didn't. Everybody behaved accordingly. Wasn't no snotty Scotties in the comments. Wasn't no toxic Tashas. Wasn't none of that. I'm so grateful for my champagne gang that not only do y'all come in here, but y'all come in here and make everybody feel comfortable. You do. You make everybody feel welcome, make them feel like this is one of the places that they can come to escape from the toxicity. But also we warn them, if you come in and act, unbecomingly, we may have to act unbecomingly as well. We don't like doing that. Thank you for joining me in the Champagne City for another Sip, Savor, and Spill. Please do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Also hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when we jump into whichever sector we jump into for another show. Please make sure, let me see, you subscribe to the other channels in the Champagne City. We will be doing some lives over there. I am working on some videos as we speak. I am going to try to make it my business Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays to go live in the Champagne City. Tuesdays and Thursdays, if I don't drop a video, I'll probably be dropping videos on the other channel. So I'm trying to see how that's going to work. Of course, I do all this by myself, so that's why I got to figure it out, because editing and voiceovers and cutting and clipping and putting together and making it spin and twirl, yeah, that takes time. But I do it all for y'all because I like doing it for y'all. So thank y'all for joining me. Champagne Gang, Fizz Fam, confidants, and visitors to the Champagne City. Baby, always remember, if it doesn't cause you to elevate, baby, it's causing you to depreciate. Now raise those glasses, clink, and let's drink till we meet again. Ta-ta.
Stockings by the fire, but the room's ice cold. All of us a gift, guess it came pre-sold. Found the lips on the best friend, ribbons came untied. Unwrapped betrayal, under that you tied. Mistletoe hanging, but the vibe ain't sweet. So I'm tangled up where I used to keep my seat. The red I'm seeing ain't from no candy cane. Ain't no Ollie, ain't no Jolly, just this burning pain. Christmas red is the fire in my head. Yeah, the trust is dead. Tree lights flicker, but my mind's on rewind. Every I love you now feels weaponized. Eggnog spike, but it ain't numb in the sting. Her best friend took my crown, now I'm the food king. Sleigh bells ringing, but they sound like alarms. Frosty outside, inside it's a storm. No chestnuts roasting, just my patience sharp. Love ain't a present, it's a house of cards. The red I'm seeing ain't from no candy cane. Ain't no Ollie, ain't no Jolly, just this burning pain. Christmas red is the fire in my head. Yeah, the trust is dead.